Luther King. Gerald Posner, good to have you today.
Good to be with you, Charlie and Dagan.
So what are when you look at the, what with the little bit that we know so far about this case and the probably even less we know about the case out of Butler, what are the similarities you see from your years of research in public assassinations?
Well, I mean, Butler was the greatest dereliction of duty on the Secret Service that I've ever seen. There's nothing that was remotely similar to that. Just layer after layer of incompetence, mishandling, gross negligence, and that's all going to come to light in the forthcoming Senate and House reports. At least on the latest episode that took place, Secret Service agents were doing the right thing. They were in front of the president. They had the outer perimeter. They were looking at it. They were doing the advanced walk. They spotted the rifle, thank goodness, and they immediately took a shot. That's a result, I'm sure, of Butler. They're being proactive now, so they were able to stop this. But it's really a question of threat assessment. This isn't something that you can tick the box and say, by the way, President Trump, former President Trump needs the same protection as President Biden. We're going to give more money and throw more money at the Secret Service. They need to have the threat assessment, which says that actually the greatest threat is against former President Trump's life. There's no question about it, from foreign sources, from Iran and others, and from domestic kooks who are looking for their place in history.
And Gerald, I read your piece that you wrote in the Wall Street Journal after the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt. And you pointed out that you cannot separate, I don't want to just say the rhetoric. I think the word that you used was the reckless speech that is being used, because really, particularly on the left, this has been about a decade of the left creating a hate cult toward President Trump.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dagan. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you that, language, this hateful rhetoric, it has a consequence. And for those who studied history, we saw it in 1963 when John Kennedy was killed. There was a lot, people forget about how many people didn't like Jack Kennedy, who thought he was a traitor because he had let down the Bay of Pigs. He hadn't followed through on the invasion. Martin Luther King was viewed as a communist. I know that sounds heretical today, but it's true by many people. They thought he was tearing the country apart. The rhetoric against those two created an atmosphere in which people like Lee Harvey Oswald or James Earl Ray felt emboldened to take action. Now, the rhetoric against Trump reaches a whole new level. And it's not just people posting on X. It's not just some crazy student, pro-Hamas student demonstrating at Harvard. This is by the hierarchy of the Democratic Party. It's people saying he's a threat to democracy. It's the Washington Post. It's putting him on the cover of national magazines looking like he's a Hitler figure. When you call somebody Hitler long enough, the next Hitler, there's somebody out there who's on the edge and not quite balanced, who's going to think, oh, gee, if I could go back in time, I would have stopped Hitler. Maybe I should stop this Hitler. With this, we have the Routh, the current attempted assassin, who had posted in April that democracy is at stake. We hear this constantly. Even in the presidential debate, Kamala Harris said he wants to be a dictator, he meaning Trump, from day one. Now, you say that all the time, and what shows that's a lie, that they really don't mean that at the Democratic Party level, at the higher level, is the minute somebody tries to kill former President Trump, they say, we're so glad he's safe. That's what Harris says. That's what you hear from Biden. They wouldn't be saying that if they really thought he was the next Hitler. But they use the language, incendiary language, that really has created a volatile situation in a country that's already split greatly.
Gerald Posner, thank you so much. Great to see you, Gerald. And please come back. We'll see you again soon. And if you're
Thanks, Dagan.